So hello to anybody out there who is listening. I'm Dawn Campbell at the IAPC&M, and I'm joined by Nikki Wild, who is our head of members business support for coaches and mentors. Hello, Nikki.
Hello.
You're free to jump on this call. Normally this is a private monthly Q&A for our members, but we thought we'd just open it up by way of an introduction to all our members who are out there. Just to say, don't forget, this is your chance to pick Nikki's brains. She's in the hot seat once a month, and you can come on to these monthly calls and have a great Q&A on anything to do with sales and marketing and upscaling your business. So very, very important if you're a coach that's reached a plateau and you want to explore how to upscale your business, or you're a new practitioner and you just want to ask some sales and marketing coaches. So whether you're a coach or a mentor, Nikki is here. Sometimes I'll be here. Sometimes it'll be Lisa, head of CPD, but Nikki will be here the last Monday of every month, always at 11 o'clock, always on the same Zoom link. That's 11 o'clock UK time. You're welcome to join us. So what would you like to add to that, Nikki? What can people expect in these sessions?
I think it's a safe space to come and ask those questions that will help your business to be a business, as opposed to just kind of muddling through or trying to sort of go day to day, thinking about how we run coaching, how we are professional coaches and mentors, but with a business head on. So we know, those who've known me for a long time will know my mantra is earn it, then spend it. Earning it first means being able to bring in the clients, invoice those clients, generate the revenues, and then thinking about what do you need to spend that revenue on, so paying yourself obviously, but all those other things in the business, those commitments that you're making to be able to have something that is sustainable on an ongoing basis. And there are all sorts of questions that crop up as to how do I do this, or if I've got option A or option B, which one's going to work for me? And all of those little questions, sometimes it's useful to just have a sounding board, somebody who's been around for a while, who's maybe seen other versions of it. I mentor newly qualified coaches. I've got a couple of mentees who've been around for a lot longer as well. So there are most of the questions that come up now I have heard already, or I know somebody who's been through that same situation. And it's these monthly Q&A sort of clinic. It's almost like a clinic. You can come with anything, bring your ailments or your questions, and we will do our best to find you a solution, or at least point you in the right direction to get the answers. And it's just finding that space to just pause, check in. Is everything on track? Do you need to make any little course corrections? And to know that you've got somebody who's got your back as well. It's being part of the IAPC&M family means that you've got the team in the background that you can turn to when you need that extra sort of trusted ally to use as a sounding board or ask questions.
Yeah. And of course, for those of you who don't know, Nikki was the head of education, and she created that fabulous 12-month, 12-modular self-teach online program called, aptly, The Business of Coaching. So she then brought each module to life in a Q&A clinic, and those are all recorded and archived. So that's the beauty of joining the IAPC&M. You've never missed an opportunity to learn, because everything is recorded. It's all stored in the secure members area. And now Nikki's role has evolved, where she's the business support for our members, for people who have been through the program, who still have questions, because they're now in their business and working on their business and need that extra expertise. Because as you can see, Nikki's an accredited fellow coach and a master mentor, same as me. And she's a qualified accountant, so she's a corporate coach, and she's out there doing this day in, day out. And you have a couple of slots available for new coaches coming up as well, don't you, Nikki?
I do. I've just completed some mentoring work with a couple of coaches who are doing fabulously well, and so they are taking a pause from the mentoring that I've been doing. So I have got a couple of slots at the moment, some fresh capacity from August, September time onwards, to bring on a couple of extra coaches. Usually I only work with people for sort of 3 or 4 months at a time, just to kind of put things back on track, Usually it's a bit of a reboot, reset, or sort of reinvigoration, I suppose. Particularly if we've been drifting. I mean, we all have phases, don't we, where we kind of drift along for a while, things get in a bit of a rut, or maybe you've worked with a client for a period of time and that's coming to an end, and you're thinking, well, what next? I need to do something to replace that client activity. So our businesses go through seasons and phases, and what we need at different phases or different seasons in the business changes. So it's useful, I think, to have somebody. It's why I work with my mentors and coaches periodically, to address whatever that need is in that season in the business.
Yeah, and a bit like an MOT.
Yes. I have maintenance coaching, my alumni clients who've worked with me for a period of time, who don't necessarily need a formal program, but just want those little periodic check-ins. So we have maintenance coaching where they'll check in with me just periodically. But I do think
sorry.
No, carry on.
I was going to say, you mentioned, that you've been working with a client and then you think, oh, it's come to an end. Now what? And that's a trap that a lot of coaches and mentors get into, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very easy, I think, to get complacent, to know that you've got a sort of a fixed period of time, particularly for coaches for whom the business development, sales and marketing side isn't their first passion and love. So the idea of kind of doing that as on a repeated, ongoing basis. I'm speaking from experience here. It's not my first passion. I have an accountancy background. I love doing the numbers and spreadsheets. The idea of business development is something I have had to learn to do. It's not something that came naturally. I am in awe of Dawn, for whom this is absolutely her core skill set, and she's brilliant at it. And I think as coaches, it's important that we have longer term horizons. We don't just look at what am I doing over this week and next week and the rest of this month, that we look ahead and think, what's the lead time? If it takes you 2 or 3 months to engage a new client, what do you need to be doing today for the client you're going to start working with in a couple of months' time, so that we've got that sort of continuity in place. So yes, you might not have space to take on someone today, but do what I do, open a waiting list. Let people know that you've got capacity coming up in 2 or 3 months' time, and that they might want to, you might be in conversation with them. And if you're, obviously depending on the sector you work in, if you're working in education, for example, you might be having conversations in June with schools that you might work with in September, because you're looking ahead to the next term, or maybe talk to them in September for something that's going to start in January. So thinking about what are the cycles and seasons of the clients that we work with allows us to then work with those sort of seasons and changes with our clients, and have the conversations now that are going to bear fruit in maybe 2 or 3 months' time.
And actually, what you've just described is perfectly suited to you as an accountant, because it is still a numbers game, isn't it? It's all about conversions. How many networking events do you have to go to? How many people do you have to speak to in order to get how many appointments, and then in order to get how many new clients on board? So even though it's sales and marketing, it's still numbers. And that's why you've got to create space in your schedule while you're busy with coaching, that you're still ramping up those numbers, because it takes time. You've got to know your conversion rate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of tracking the numbers, the conversion rate, the not just the money in the bank, but the money coming in, the money going out, but the number of clients. For each person watching this, they will have volume versus capacity trade-off. Do you work do you do group work, where you might work with a number of people at once, but it doesn't take a huge amount of your time because you work with them in a group setting? Or do you have a series of one-to-one clients? Everybody's model is different. It's why these monthly Q&As are ideal, because you can bring your own context. If you're watching, if you go on YouTube and you watch a generic video, that's been written for everybody. You can't ask questions about your own context in a YouTube video. So come along to the live sessions, bring your own context, ask your specific scenario questions, so that you can get something that's absolutely a good or an appropriate fit for the setting that you're in. Because everybody's niche is different, everybody's business is different. We're all working in slightly different ways. to serve our clients in the best way possible.
Exactly. And that's why a CRM program is so important, because it's a numbers game. How do you keep in touch with those people until you've got the capacity to take them on? I know there's a lot of coaches who wish they had that problem, that they're fully booked, but that's not the reality for the majority of them. But they still need a CRM program where they're tickling their interest and all the people that they've networked with over a period of time. Because I think it's something like 11 to 13 touch points now, isn't it, Nikki, before somebody is going to buy a higher ticket item?
Yeah, so particularly if you're hoping that somebody's going to spend a significant amount of money on a high-end program, then you've got to build that relationship with them first and build that trust. It's rare in my experience that somebody is going to walk in completely out of the blue with a blank check and go, I'll give you whatever it takes to work with you. There's always been a period of getting to know the person a little. They're doing their research, they're doing their due diligence. It's where things like your professional accreditation is brilliant, because you can make sure that the people who are having those 13 touch points, one of those touch points might be they're checking out your qualifications and your accreditation. It allows you to position yourself as a professional. If they are going to invest a significant amount of money with you, then why wouldn't you sing and dance about your accreditation to make sure that your clients know they're in good hands and that they're working with a trusted professional? And so that CRM, just thinking about if you work backwards from each of the clients you've worked with recently, if you pick the last 2 or 3 clients and just go back and sort of rewind and ask yourself, what were the steps that you went through before you started working with them? And also, what were the steps that they went through? I think often we look at what do we do? So thinking about having a meeting, putting contracts in place and all of that stuff. We don't necessarily stand in our clients' shoes and ask, well, what was going on for them before they came to me? How did our paths cross? Where did they come across us? What was their due diligence or their research process, their decision-making process? What sort of research did they do? How many other people did they talk to before they landed on their chosen coach? And I think just walking or sort of rewinding our clients' sort of steps and just seeing what steps they took allows us to then think, well, if those are the clients I want to do more of, if that's what they're doing, where can I make sure that I cross paths with them more often through that process to hopefully maybe reduce the number of steps they go through? If they are researching, how can I make that research really easy for them to make a decision? But I think it is that thing, and it is easy. I know I'm speaking from experience here. It is easy to fall into the trap of, I've got a client who's signed up for 6 months, I don't have to think about this for a couple of months, and you get out of the habit, and then it feels more effort to re-engage. But the rest of your audience are going, oh, I haven't heard from you for a while, and that's on us to kind of make sure that they are not forgetting us in between conversations.
Exactly. Yeah. It's what I call waiting actively. You're waiting for the client to need you, but you're being very active in terms of keeping your profile high, networking with them, and so on. Okay. Well, we're going to log off now that we've done that introduction. The Zoom link is available on your monthly summary. It's available in the weekly bulletins. And failing that, just email Rhea or myself or Nikki, and we'll send you the link. Thank you.